area got shocked with yet another northeaster yesterday. But look at that, Mr. Met having some fun in the snow out at Citi Field. But down here in Florida, the sun and the surf continues to be beautiful. First data field, the Mets are going to play under the lights tonight as they welcome in the Washington Nationals, and all the action coming your way next here on SNY.
Of baseball.
New York Mets baseball is on the air tonight from First Data Field in Port St. Lucie, Florida. It's the New York Mets welcoming in the Washington Nationals. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi preferred card of the New York Mets. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. By Fios, by Verizon. Streaming is only as good as your Verizon internet. Get the best internet on 100% fiber optic network. Go to Fios.com. And by your local Ford dealers for great deals on Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. Visit buyford.com now. Hi, everybody. Gary Applin for Gary Cohen alongside Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez. Going to get a chance to see Zach Wheeler on the mound tonight for the Mets. And it's an important start for Zach. With Jason Vargas going down, had the hand surgery on Tuesday, Zach is fighting for that fifth starter spot.
Well, I think right now, before this game starts, you would think that Zach would be penciled in as that fifth starter. But I've heard people say this is not that important a start for him. We've seen in spring training, especially early, that he had a tendency to dominate at times, but he has struggled in the middle of spring training. His last start against the Nationals, he gave up 5 runs and 3 innings. I believe this is a big start, not only for him and the Mets, but also for Zach and his confidence.
So going to see Zach Wheeler, also going to see Seth Lugo take the mound here tonight, and Robert Gazelman as well. Where they're going to fit in this Mets pitching staff, yet to be seen. Will they be in the bullpen? What about Adrian Gonzalez? He gets the start at first base tonight. He's going to be the Mets' everyday first baseman. He has not had a great spring.
Well, he's 35 going on 36, coming off an injury-prone season last year with his elbow and his back. He is having a real tough spring, as you can see. Hit the solo home run last time out, his only RBI of spring. He's a multiple all-star, gold glove first baseman. The question is, has the injuries caught up with him and age? He's going to be the starting first baseman. He is going to be the guy that's going to take the ball. Dominic Smith is going to have to go to Las Vegas. He needs to stay ready just in case. But Adrian Gonzalez is the first baseman.
Mets and the Nationals going to beat 19 times during the regular season. Tonight, their final meeting of the spring. It's the Mets and the Nats on the way here on SNY.
Place her finger.
By Empire City Casino, current jackpot is now over $2.8 million. You could be the biggest winner yet. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By WB Mason, the official office products company of the New York Mets. Who but WB Mason? And by Jeep, the most awarded lineup of SUVs ever. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Get Citi Field on Saturday, March 31st to see the Mets take on the St. Louis Cardinals at 1:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans going to receive a Mets Build-A-Bear teddy bear courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. We get a look at tonight's pitchers for the Mets, brought to you by Cadillac, and Zach Wheeler going to get the start, and then it's going to be Paul Sewald and Robert Gazelman, Seth Lugo, and Jacob Rame. Don't know for sure, but all 5 of those gentlemen could end up on this pitching staff when they head north next week. So Zach Wheeler, an important start for him. Mets playing under the lights here at First Data Field for the first time this spring. Or Daniel Murphy. Harper not making the trip up from down in West Palm Beach, and Murphy going to miss the start of the season following knee surgery. But Adam Eaton is back. Anthony Rendon down at third base. He's batting third, and Michael Taylor will be in center field. Michael A. Taylor, and he will bat fifth for Dave Martinez. His first year on the job, he takes over for Dusty Baker.
You know, it's interesting. Dave Martinez is a guy that's been on everyone's kind of lips the last 5 or 6 years. He was a bench coach for Joe Madden, of course, in Tampa Bay and Chicago, and finally gets his shot. Kind of a lost last 3 seasons for Zach Wheeler. Of course, 15 and 16 he was hurt. Last year, 17 starts until he was shut down. This is his chance to reaffirm that he is a major league pitcher for 30-plus starts.
Here, Lexus Metropolitan defense. As you can see there, everybody, it's going to be your starting lineup. Bruce and Cespedes anchor the corners. I think Nimmo, as well as Lagares, are going to do some platooning. until Conforto comes back. A veteran infield right there, except for Rosario at shortstop. A welcome addition defensively. And Tomas Nido behind the plate.
And there's the Brain Trust, first-year manager of the Mets, Mickey Callaway, Gary DiSarcina, and Dave Island flank him.
Mickey Callaway is on the record saying this is not as important a start as everyone is making out to be. I don't believe that. I think it's really important for Zach to have a real, true, good outing, 5+ innings. How does he do that? Command of his fastball and show an effective breaking ball, especially behind the count. That's what I'll be watching.
That's always been his issue, Ronnie, is his command. He's got the great arm, blazing fastball. He's got a great curveball, but it's a matter of getting it over. And this is a big start. There is a three-way competition for that last spot in the rotation.
So Zach Wheeler, first pitch to Adam Eaton. And that one is fouled off. Zach made his last start against the Nationals back on the 13th, went 3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 5 runs. He struck out 3 and he walked 2 in that game.
This was Eaton was an injury last year. He missed the great majority of the season, only played in 23 games last year. That was a big blow to this national team. It didn't hurt them in their drive for the division, but it certainly hurt them in their drive towards the pennant. He is an on-base guy, plays good defense, came over from the White Sox.
Hit in the air to left field. In comes Yoenis Cespedes. Back goes Rosario, and it's Cespedes for out number 1.
Ow! That just makes me wince.
Well, that was the injury. Adam Eaton at Citi Field against the Mets. I think it was down at Washington, actually, on the 28th of April.
He's that kind of player, though. He's an igniter, a gamer kind of player, and it cost him there. But, you know, it was all hustle, which caused the injury.
Howie Kendrick off to a good start this spring. 8 for 25 in a dozen games.
Nice breaking ball there from Zach Wheeler. Nice to see. See if we see the 0-2 pitch inside from these Mets pitchers tonight. No, going back out.
Wheeler making his 5th appearance of the spring, his 4th start.
And Kendrick playing first base today, and that's Ryan Zimmerman's spot. He's part of the very strong bench this Nationals team has.
Zimmerman is having a different kind of spring, not really appearing in a lot of spring training games, kind of getting his work on the side.
Zimmerman appearing in just 1 game, 2 at-bats, and then doing all of his work on the backfields in minor league games. And
I don't understand that. I really don't.
He's insisting that he's healthy. But well, it's certainly a different way to go about it.
He had a terrific year last year and stayed healthy.
Wheeler took a little something off it, and Kendrick held up. Count goes full.
Breaking ball, trying to get him to fish. Good job by Kendrick. He stayed back.
No question. Nice
Through the right side. There's a base hit for Howie Kendrick.
When Howie was a .290 hitter all of his years in Los Angeles for the Angels, this is what he would do. Go to the opposite field.
Well, that's a guy you want in that 2-hole. I know the 2-hole now with the Mets with Cespedes, you put your power hitter in there. The new analytics at the 2-hole is where most of the RBIs are at. That spot in the order. I'm sure they've got analytics that are right there, bold facts for you. But I kind of like to have 2 table setters at the top of the order.
Anthony Rendon steps in for the Nationals, coming off another strong season in 2017 and having a very good spring, hitting .357. He's talked about making some swing adjustments, moving a little bit closer to the plate, getting that swing a little bit more compact.
I wouldn't adjust anything if I were him.
I don't understand that one.
This kid can flat out hit.
Well, he had that big game against the Mets, didn't he, in April last year?
Well, for the Mets fans, they always remember it as the Noah Syndergaard game. But for the Nationals fans, that's when Rendon came out of his funk. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBI.
Almost hit a 4th home run.
That's right.
In that game.
Well, last year in 147 games, drove in 100 runs. 25 homers. Had a heck of a year. Hit 301.
Said the Syndergaard game. Of course, I'm referring to the Syndergaard injury on the field down in Washington that day.
Wheeler behind.
You know, Mets pitchers are doing a better job of keeping the runners close. I wouldn't worry about Howie Kendrick, 2-0 in spring training. He's a guy that during the season he might try to steal a bag on you. You can't see him really doing it in spring training.
He's pretty amazing. 34 years old, can still play at a very high level as a called strike.
Washington has always done a nice job of having guys on the bench who can really play. Last year they had Adam Lind, who had a good year, Howie Kendrick late. This year they have Howie Kendrick and Matt Adams, who came over from the Braves.
Well, you can remember in spring training last year when Dusty Baker was the manager of this ball club, his one and only year. Started out right off the get-go stealing bases. There's Dave Martinez, former Cub, Expo, new manager of the Nats.
This could be two. Frazier comes in, boots it, and everybody's going to be safe.
Think this was a do or die play, Keith, or could he waited back and played a big hop?
I think he played it, tried to get the short hop. He botched it. Kind of stabbed at it a little bit. I think it's the right play coming in to get it.
E5.
So the Nationals have 2 on here in the first. And that brings up Matt Wieters, his second year behind the plate for the Nationals, coming over from the Orioles.
Wieters signed very late with the Nats last year. And it looks like his best days are behind him. 225 last year, former Oriole.
You know, it's the hardest thing, Keith, to judge that 30-plus catcher who's been squatting behind there for 8 to 10 years. They just, it seems when the level of play drops off, it can be drastic.
No. I think Yogi would have something to say about that.
Or Gary Carter.
Cespedes gives it a chase.
We're talking about the elite of the elite, though, right? Carlton Fisk, you might have something to say about it.
But no question that you catchers definitely have physically get beat up more than anybody on the field over a course of time.
Wieters reaches out, pokes one into right field. Kendrick coming around third. He's going to score, and the Nationals put the first run up here in the first inning.
Well, he throws his third pitch here, and which is the changeup, and it's up. Got it away, had some sink, but too much up in the strike zone.
That brings up Michael A. Taylor. He's missed some time this spring with an oblique injury, which is something he dealt with a season ago.
I'd have to say, though, Michael A. had his most consistent year last year. I think that Dusty Baker was a great influence on this young player, and he had a fantastic series against the Cubs in the division series.
Also has an outstanding glove out there in center field, I should say.
With Taylor's emergence, they've moved Adam Eaton to left field this year with the expiring contract of Jason Worth. Lays down the bunt.
Boom.
Oh.
And nobody covering first. And Anthony Rendon waltzes in to make it a 2-0 game.
Well, I've got to see the positioning here where Cabrera was.
He was up the middle, Keith.
Up the middle, then that's a smart bunt play by
by Taylor. I mean, you see Cabrera right there. There's no way that he can get to first. And there's a factor where I think that Gonzalez didn't realize. You got, with all these shifts, there's so much more that you have to pay attention to. I mean, you have to, your brother infielder for a first baseman is your second baseman. You got to know where he is on the field.
I'll even go this far. With that kind of shift, the first baseman can't even go for that ball. That's either the pitcher makes that play or it's a dead ball. Simple as that.
How much of that is, here's a new first baseman for the Mets.
Except the veteran. He's a
veteran.
Keith talk about his gold gloves.
You can also have vocal communication. And not to be the Gonzalez is playing back. So I don't.
Oh, that's the hit on Wieters.
That's the hit
prior.
Okay.
At bat.
Well, I don't know. I hope you folks enjoyed that.
We got spring training too.
Count is even on Ryan Rayburn, 36 years old, played 25 games with the Nats season ago. Frazier steps on third, fires, and there's a double play to get the Mets out of the inning, but the Nats get two, and the Mets come to bat. Pretty much the opening day lineup, except for Tomas Nido, who's going to do the catching, and he bats eighth.
Well, Tanner Roark, I was going to talk about, but Keith, you know much better than I do. Why don't you take him?
Well, I've always liked him. He's got that full beard going this year. He got off to a tough start last year, but finished 13-11. Had a good, strong second half. He's a bulldog out there. He had 30 starts. He takes the ball every fifth day. I like him.
Tanner Roark, a guy who won 15 games back in 2014. Won 16 games 2016.
Remember that one year they put him in the bullpen after he won 15 games?
Yes.
And he wasn't happy about it.
But his last 111 starts, he's 50-36. He is that bulldog that Keith talked about.
Brandon Nimmo leads it off for the Mets. In there for a called strike.
Brandon kind of in a little bit of a funk right now. Had a real hot start. We were talking, Gary, Ron, about Nimmo. About he's probably the guy that I've seen make the most progress up at the plate of the young hitters outside of obviously Conforto.
Yeah.
First round pick of the Mets back in 2011. He was just 16, 17 years old. What about adjustments? What have you seen from Nimmo?
Well, You just get a little more experience. I don't like the fact that they're teaching him the launch angle. He is a table setter. He's a very energetic player. He brings energy to the Mets. The Mets are basically a base at a time team. He and Lagares are probably going to start as a platoon, which means there's more right-hand pitchers than left-hand pitchers. Nimmo's going to get the lion's share of the play, I would think. He has a good eye at the plate. He walks. That's his job as a leadoff hitter if they're going to lead him off.
He's driven in 10 runs this spring, his 53 at bats, most on the Mets this spring.
You know, when I think about him, Keith and Gary, I think of a guy that has been developed with an organization's ideology. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was drafted and he's bought into all the on-base percentage, taking a lot of pitches, all the things that I think in the minor leagues the Mets have tried to stress.
Hit in the air to center field. Michael Taylor going back. The wind blows it in, and there's out number 1.
Well, there's that. It's a lot like Wrigley playing down here in spring training. There's always a wind. And right now, when you hit anything into the air to right field, that's a nice swing. Nice contact right there, but the wind's blowing out from foul pole to foul pole towards right field. That's cutting into that wind a little bit. It's going to knock that ball down.
Yoenis Cespedes back into action on Monday against the Astros after missing 8 days with a sore wrist. Got a cortisone shot in that wrist. I had a chance to see him in the clubhouse today. Said he feels good.
That's some body armor. He's got his own personal likeness on the body armor. You got to like it.
You see, we got a little text from our play-by-play Mr. Cohen.
Did it mess up already?
Oh, you read it.
Okay,
Oh, I'm interested to hear.
Don't read it loud.
Can it be read aloud?
That's an inside joke. Gary, aren't you doing some NCAA basketball?
I did have a chance to text with Gary. He's in Boston for the Sweet 16.
Very nice.
1-2 to Cespedes. And the count evens.
Well, that's some serious armor there. And there.
You know you're big when you've got your own likeness on your own equipment.
Yeah. Good cut. Had a little bit of shoulder problems earlier, missed some time in spring, but he says he's ready to go. And this is the time right now. What is it? Thursday. We are a week from opening day, folks. Aren't you excited?
Well, those opening shots of City
snow?
Field with the snow.
I heard Mid-Island just got nailed.
15, 16 inches.
Now, I heard also where I'm at out in the east, further east, only like 4 inches, and it melted off today.
And they didn't get a lot in the city, in Manhattan?
My daughter told me they only got around 4 inches.
Didn't get that much, and our girls were thrilled by this school being canceled. But they really didn't need to. It wasn't that bad.
It's always, nowadays, it's overkill, overreaction.
Safe than sorry kind of stuff. Rolark wanted that pitch. I think it's a dot outside.
(3-2) to Cespedes, hammered into left field. That's a fair ball down into the corner. Cespedes around first. He's going to stand up at second. So one out double by Yoenis Cespedes.
Very quick inside. Ball up in the strike zone. 3-2 fastball. Wanted it away. Oh boy.
Yeah, as a pitcher, you're just happy that you got the ball back on that pitch.
Well, very powerful hitter and a very powerful swing. Needs to stay healthy. Oh.
It's a shopping cart.
Looks like you can put a bottle of wine in there. It could be like a wine cooler.
Jay Bruce, first pitch swinging.
Uh-oh.
Kendrick dives, stays with it, gets the out as Roark covers, and Cespedes advances to third.
Well, Kendrick, really a middle infielder, second baseman by trade here, and he's showing his inexperience at first base. But hey, 3-1 on your scorecard.
Well, Kendrick expects to start the season at second base with, again, Daniel Murphy on the shelf. He had that microfracture surgery that is going to keep him out for opening day as Todd Frazier steps in.
Nice and easy.
Frazier just a $178 here in Florida this spring.
And your Mercedes Nationals defense. Adam Eaton is really a center fielder, but Michael Taylor had such a good year last year, and he's such a great defender, is in center, and Eaton moves to left. And on the infield, you've really the only starter you got there is Rendon at third.
Frazier pops it up on the infield. Kendrick. And now it's Defoe who calls for it and makes the catch. So they strand Cespedes down at third as we head to the second. Martinez team. It's Brignac, Roark, and Defoe scheduled up here for the Nationals. Brignac signed a minor league deal with the Nationals this offseason, and that's in there for a called strike. Count evens at 1.
Brignac has made his rounds around baseball. We've seen him, saw him with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Rockies.
He's a guy that tried for a while. He's always been a left-handed hitter with a little bit of pop. Tried with, I remember with the Phillies, tried to become a switch hitter, hit from both sides. I think he's abandoned that experiment.
Well, they'd like to, getting back to Wheeler here. Callaway said they'd like, he's only gone the max 3 innings so far this spring. They want some length from him tonight, I should say. It's our first night game. Well, twilight.
Twilight.
What they used to call a twilight doubleheader.
Twilight doubleheader, but this time of evening is twilight, I believe. Brignac last played in the majors 2016 with the Atlanta Braves, and that was a sliced foul. One of the things Mickey Callaway has really talked about when it comes to Zach Wheeler, he wants to see him get ahead of hitters. I'm not sure we've seen that so far tonight.
What did Tom Seaver say? What was the most important pitch? Strike one. And that's, you know, Zach is a long line of, you know, people that come down the pike in Major League Baseball, Gary. There's a lot of great arms. And they just were never able to hone their pitches and command their pitches. And that's, oh, good fastball.
That's in there for a called strike three, the first strikeout of the evening for Zach Wheeler.
Well, despite the strikeout, it's a perfect pitch on the outside corner and on the knees. I don't think of Zach Wheeler, considering he throws 95 plus, to me as a strikeout pitcher. I think he's a bottom of the strike zone guy, the guy that should put the ball in play, put the ball in play in the ground, on the ground. I mean, one of the things that he's always suffered from, even before his injury, was high pitch counts, not being able to go deep into games.
Taylor Roark, rocket out to left field. Cespedes not going to get there. Bounces off the base of the wall. Roark into second with a stand-up double.
Well, well, well. Fastball, belt tie, down the middle. No launch angle on that swing.
He's been working on it, Keith.
Very nice, Tanner.
You have to remember, all these pitchers have been facing a lot of DHs, haven't been facing the pitchers until later in spring training. I remember I was pitching in West Palm against the Expos, and Kevin Gross took me for a 3-run bomb. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But he could hit a little bit.
In spring?
In spring.
Oh, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, it counts on the scoreboard. It counts as you're watching him run around the bases.
Well, Defoe now is a pretty good little player here. A good defender, good middle infielder, shortstop, second base. Had a good year last year, 124 games, at 271.
Well, he started 52 games at shortstop in place of Trey Turner, who went out with the broken wrist.
That's
and so
right.
he showed himself nicely a season ago, and he's going to get more playing time here in 2018.
Well, that really is the key, isn't it? In the major leagues today, your depth, so that when you do sustain an injury to one of your better players, that a guy can step in like Defoe and for 50 games keep you above water.
Well, depth and versatility,
Yeah.
right? He can play shortstop, he can play second base, and so he's that much more valuable.
Well, the old adage is it takes 25 to win.
Yeah.
So the bench is always overlooked, but it's critical.
Always interesting when I see a shift against a player like Defoe. You know, he's a guy that you would think would make his living on spraying the ball all over the diamond. But, you know, they must have the charts that say on the ground he pulls.
Count is full. Wheeler to Defoe.
There you go.
Through the left side. Roark pulls in at third. And so the Nationals have first and third and one out.
Up in the strike zone, outer half, too much plate and up.
You know, the stat, if you look at it in spring training for Zach now, is that he's pitched 9 in the third innings and given up 20 hits. That's the number that you don't like to see.
Well, Dave Martinez has batted his pitcher eighth tonight. He's going to do that a lot. He's taking a page. You know, he worked with Joe Madden for so many years in Tampa and then with the Cubs, and he feels like if he can bat Eaton at the top of the lineup, maybe Michael Taylor, tonight it's Defoe, but he'll get what he considers to be back-to-back leadoff hitters in that situation, and then the meat of his lineup to follow maybe Harper hitting second or third. And
well, they scored 815 runs last year, hit 215 home runs, so they got a lot of punch.
Into center field, there's a base hit. Roark's going to score. Defoe round second. Here's the throw, and he slides in safely.
A lot of hits on that changeup so far, Keith.
It's his third pitch, you know, and at this point, you're fighting for a position on the roster. You can't say, well, I went out there working on my changeup. I think that Wheeler, and you got to throw it, obviously, but at this stage for Wheeler, he's got to go with his best pitches. He's got to have a good outing. And good hustle by Defoe right there, and that's where speed kills. Instead of first and second, base at a time. Sound familiar? It's first and third.
Howie Kendrick singled and scored in the second. In the first, I should say.
Got to be able to pitch Kendrick in these kind of situations. Got to get him to hit the ball on the ground. You saw from his last hit, he can go the other way if you're just going to work him away.
Hit on the ground, Rosario into the hole, fires to second. Oh, Cabrera can't hang on. Defoe scores to make it a 3-0 game. Make that 4-0.
Did the sun kind of affect? Look at the reaction of Cabrera. It looked like he kind of shaded his eyes. You see his shadow. He's looking into the sun. So, not faring so well. That's got to be a fielder's choice and an error, I believe, huh? No, not a fielder's choice. It's an error. Fielder's. Yep, I had it right the first time.
Yeah, fielder's choice, E6.
I should never doubt myself, Gary.
Yep.
I didn't think you did.
Anthony Rendon reached on an error by Todd Frazier and scored in the first inning.
So Lugo stretching in the bullpen for the Mets.
Zach Wheeler pitched a simulated game on Monday, just went an inning in that game.
To me, that's the brain trust trying to get him to work on some things, not showing up here at this game. You know, with Zach or any pitcher that takes the mound for a big league spring training game, especially late in spring, you want to see electric stuff, you know, at some point. With a guy that has this kind of arm, we haven't seen it yet in this game.
Well, Zach Wheeler came up with such high praise, 6th pick of the Giants, and then traded over to the Mets in the Beltran deal. Missed the 2015 and 2016 seasons and got off to a pretty good start last year before being shut down. That one is hit well, but drifting foul.
It was part of the Beltran trade.
Correct.
The big main guy.
Well, Wheeler didn't have a great first start last year, but then through his next 10, pitched to a sub-3 ERA, and then began to experience issues, and then 8 starts from June on, the ERA up over 7, and they shut him down. 1-2 pitch. Just missing outside, count evens.
You know, there were reports that he, in between starts, wasn't able to really work on his stuff, throw on the side, And that's, you know, that's troubling for a young pitcher. That's where you work to get better.
Rendon right back up the middle. There's a base hit. Eaton coming around third. Here comes the throw. It bounces off the mound, and so Eaton scores, and ball gets away, and everybody moves up.
Well, Zach is getting hit pretty hard here. There's some pretty good cuts they're taking off of him, hitting the ball hard. And he did not back up home plate. And that is a stickler for Ronnie. The throw here got on top too much.
Hit the back of the mound.
Hit the back of the mound. It kicks up, and there is Wheeler not backing up, and the runners advance. It's be an E8.
So the second error of the inning by the Mets is Matt Wieters, who knocked in a run in the first, steps in, and Seth Lugo warming up in the Mets bullpen.
Infield in, and a big shift on the infield end. Boy, oh boy. You can get a bowling ball and roll it down that left side of the infield. It's sitting there with 2 ribeye steaks written all over it. Wow, that is surrendering a lot of infield.
Cheeseburger and fries when you go bowling, or the pizza slice?
It's always got to be pizza, Ronnie, when you bowl.
1-2 pitch now from Zach Wheeler to Matt Wieters. Took something off it. Funny, I've never looked at both of you guys as big keglers.
Keglers, no.
How about that for a
That's right.
old
I
old
once
time
rolled
line?
6 strikes in a row. My junior and senior year, I bowled all the time. But I had a friend that was a bowler, and he was a very good bowler, and I had a blast. That was my best game.
Good block by Nito.
There we are. Even count again.
This ball's just held on to too long. Nasty. Break on it, straight down. Nice job by Thomas.
Howie Kendrick leads off third. It's Rendon off second. Nats already have 3 in here in the second inning, and Zach Wheeler picking up his second strikeout of the night as he gets Wieters.
That fastball looked like it had a little cut on it inside.
Oh, look at the launch angle. Oh, he got beat. He just threw it by him.
Yep.
Cannot. You're going to have trouble from the belt up on with the launch angle.
Michael A. Taylor reached on a bunt last inning.
I see more and more teams do that. First and third, that safety squeeze kind of bunt against the shift is going to be used often.
In there for a called strike. Home plate umpire Chris Siegel, Larry Vanover, Gary Cederstrom, and Mike Estabrook on the bases. In there for a called third strike, and so Zach Wheeler, back-to-back strikeouts to get out of more trouble here in the second. Asdrubal Cabrera leads it off for the Mets here in the bottom of the second inning, facing Tanner Roark. First pitch swinging, Defoe. And there's out number one.
Well, between innings, you can see Wheeler, after getting cuffed around there for a couple innings, Callaway giving him the pat on the back, which usually means you're out of the ball game. Seth Lugo's still warming up. I personally feel that Zach's not going to find it on some backfield. He's only going to find it out here, and I know he's getting hit around, but keep going out there until you figure it out, because you're not going to figure it out on a backfield.
I agree with you 100%. They wanted length from him. Oh, well,
get it.
Good length, and we'll get it. Anybody can get it. Just get. Do you want 80 pitches from him? Get 80 pitches from him. How many do you have, Gary? You keeping track? We'll get it from the truck.
That's like a defense lawyer. You can't ask a question you don't have the answer to.
58 is the answer.
58. Okay, well, stretch them out.
My internet went down the moment you asked me
the internet's
that
always shaky.
Oh my
here.
gosh.
So you can never rely on it.
Because we're stuck in 1988. We had Foreigner before the game. Hot-blooded. I mean, come on. There's been more music since then.
Adrian Gonzalez with the shift on.
You mentioned him in the open. You can see not the spring that Adrian would like, and he's got to combat a lot of things going on in his mind. I can still play. Even though I'm having a tough spring, I can still play.
That one's hit in the air to center field. Michael Taylor glides in. That's the second out.
For you folks at home, just because you're a veteran player and you've had tremendous success in your career, which Adrian has had, self-doubt approaches everyone's door, doesn't it, Keith? It doesn't matter how old or young you are.
Ahmed Rosario up for the first time tonight. He's got 8 hits in his past 5 games. Had a strong game against the Cardinals down in Jupiter on Tuesday. Went 3 for 4. Seth Lugo going to be up next for the Mets.
So think about it this way. If you stuck Zach Wheeler and his abilities into a computer, and you put Tanner Roark's abilities into a computer, it would not be a close heat. Zach Wheeler would win outright. But this young man has mastered the art of pitching. 2 spots.
Ahmed Rosario goes down looking. 1, 2, 3 here in the second for the Mets. End. He lasted 2 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs. 3 of those were earned. He struck out 3, didn't walk anybody.
Well, Lugo has been solid in spring training. You see his numbers, the punch outs he gets a lot of them looking because he is able to work both sides of the plate. And without the World Baseball Classic this year, he's been very impressive in spring training.
So happy there's no WBC this year.
First pitch swinging, Ryan Rayburn into the hole. Rosario fumbles it and cannot make the play.
Well, the Mets are having a tough time with the gloves here. Nice backhand by Rosario. Just couldn't get the handle there. Oh, he grabbed the glove. He saw his fingers on the outside of the glove.
Yeah.
So did the right thing, eat it, don't throw it.
That's an infield single for Rayburn and Brignac. He also hammers the first pitch. Back goes Nimmo. Makes the catch and looked for a moment like Rayburn may try and tag up, but he stayed at first.
A little bit of ragtag here. Come on, guys.
About a week ago, Mickey Callaway got his team together and talked about the fact we need to be fundamentally sounder.
Just, you know, when you see throws go awry like that, plays not made, it's just not buttoned up. You know, that's what, you know, you're seeking for a week from today.
Gonzalez way in, hit to the right side. Cabrera for 1. Agon gets back and not in time, and Roark beats it out.
Oh, he was out at first.
Well, this is one of the few times I would want a challenge.
But aren't you happy we don't have the challenge in spring training?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
See, maybe I'm wrong if we have the replay. It looked to the naked eye like he was out pretty easily at first base.
What's this guy got?
Gonzalez did a good job to get back.
A little bit too much footwork from Rosario there trying to get out of the way. I think that might have been the difference there.
I'll say I was wrong. It looked like a tie there at first base.
Wilmer Defoe singled and scored in the second. Seth Lugo, 28 years old. Shreveport, Louisiana native, 34th round pick back in the 2011 draft. Hit on the ground to Cabrera, goes down to a knee, comes up, gets the out. Still 5-0 Nats. Spring training, featuring behind-the-scenes video and live updates straight from Port St. Lucie on Mets Blog, presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV as we check in around the majors right now, presented by Citi. And Jake Arrieta made his first start this spring for the Phillies.
Well, he had a good first inning with a couple of strikeouts, just dented by Miguel Cabrera's home run in that first inning for Arrieta. Said he was throwing 95 tops, sat around 93, 94 for most of the game. That's pretty good with no work. I mean, these pitchers who've been signing late, like Arrieta, like Alex Cobb, they think they're going to be ready in the middle of April. So that's a quick turnaround for those guys that have signed late.
Tomas Nido leads it off for the Mets here in the bottom of the third as Tanner Roark goes back to work. That's amazing. The Orioles had spoken for weeks about wanting to sign Alex Cobb, but yet they wait till right towards the end of camp, which certainly backs up as that one's hit on the ground, up the middle, going to sneak through, and there's a single for Tomas Nido, second hit of the night for the Mets.
So what do you make of that, Gary? That's interesting, right? You say to yourself, if he's an important piece, you'd want him in camp at the beginning. But I think what happened maybe is that they were talking with him so long that the market was so mercurial that maybe the Orioles thought, you know, maybe we might be able to get him cheaper because the market was all askew, at least to the players.
Well, we had a chance to visit with Sandy Alderson a couple of weeks ago and talked about the fact that, you know, he sort of did things his way, waited for the market to come back to him. And so I think there was a whole different way of looking at things this offseason. You call it whatever you want. The word collusion has been used as Lugo lays down the bunt. Roark going to go to second, gets the out there, on to first, and not in time.
Well, Tanner Roark is an outstanding fielder, and he made this play look pretty easy. Although he took his time, if he had rushed it a little bit, he might have been able to turn two. Bunted too hard.
And right back at him.
Yeah.
So back to the top of the lineup, Brandon Nimmo flew out center field, his first at bat.
Good changeup.
So this is the art of pitching. Okay, you got Brandon Nimmo up, who takes a lot of pitches. But Roark saw him in that first at bat get a nice pitch to hit and hit it on the line for an out. So he counters on the first pitch with a changeup his second at bat. That's pitching.
Well, Roark, again, he's had his ups and downs. He was unhappy when he was sent to the bullpen. He wasn't thrilled last year when he had his start skipped in the postseason because of inclement weather, and then they went to Steven Strasburg and skipped Tanner.
Well, that was the right move. Did you see Strasburg's game in Wrigley Field?
Well, you want to get your aces out
That's
there, right?
Dave Martinez, if you don't remember him, he was a mighty fine player. Over 1,500 hits, played with 9 different teams, over 600,000 games.
Very quiet, soft-spoken man as a player. You know me, I was always a chatterbox over there at first base, and it was a challenge to get a couple of words out of Dave.
Well, taking over Dusty Baker, a couple of years in Washington, both of his teams. That one's hit to the right side.
Nice.
Step on first, throw to second. There's double play. 3-6 double play, and the Mets go scoreless here in the third. Kendrick there to end the third.
Well, Gary, I can tell you right now, it's a heck of a play. Right-hander, look how he comes, makes the tag, but look at the throw. Threw it inside, and your shortstop gives you the inside target. That's critical. Everything done well. The Nats are executing wonderfully so far early in this game.
How much of that is knowing your runner, knowing that the pitcher, Lugo, is on first base? You don't have to rush that play.
Well, that's a lot to do with it, too, but it's also, you can tell when you're playing behind. You got plenty of time to get. It's absolutely, Garrett. It's a very, very easy play. The most difficult part of that play is the throw, getting it, negotiating the throw around the runner who's trying to get in the path of the ball.
Adam Eaton leads it off for the Nationals here in the fourth inning. Seth Lugo out for a second inning of work.
See, Eaton's a gum chewer up there. He's chewing that gum like a cow on cud. I could never have gum in my mouth when I hit. I couldn't multitask. It's too difficult.
Couldn't hit 344 and chew gum at the same time?
Nope, that's what I'm saying.
How about this, Keith? Try this.
Oh, geez, I'd have been in the minor leagues before you knew it.
He's blowing the bubble, like right after he swings. And Eaton goes down on strikes. 93-mile-per-hour fastball from Seth Lugo.
So previous pitch down and away. Next pitch right in.
Tied him up. Beautiful. Watch him break the swing down.
Good.
Oh, that's the other one. That's the bubblegum swing. Yeah.
Howie Kendrick singled and scored in the first, reached on a fielder's choice in the second.
Two bad bounce passes there, Keith. The Emmy's gone.
Well, the Emmy's gone for our producer.
Oh, I'm going
Gerard Casper.
I'm defending Gerard.
Guilfold.
I'll defend Gerard. Our fine senior coordinating Gerard Guilfoyle.
Right. I even pronounced his last name wrong.
Did you do it on,
I thought
you do it on purpose?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Guilfoyle.
No D.
No.
You learn something new every day.
You've known Gerard all these years. You
I
didn't
thought it
know
was
who
Guilfoyle. No.
Gerard's going to have to come for our meetings at hour and a half before the game with a name tag on. My name is.
We were a little bit concerned Gerard was not going to get down here in time because he didn't leave until yesterday during the snowstorm, but he was able to get a flight.
Nice breaking ball.
So
Back-to-back strikeouts.
Yeah,
for Seth Lugo.
fastball in and then a breaking ball away.
Beautiful. Oh, they're out on the berm. Right at they're just before the sun tucks under.
Beautiful crowd tonight.
It's the first night game the Mets have played here, and only night game they're playing this spring here at First Data Field. They played one on the road in against the Orioles over in Sarasota.
You know, there's been a lot of talk with some teams saying, you know, at least the last week of spring training to start to play more night games to try to, I don't know, make it more like the regular season, but a lot of day games in April because of home openers, etc. Weekend games. This is our artistic shot for the evening. Thank you, John.
Lights have been on from the start here. Big sweeper from Lugo.
Keith, you play in the Florida State League?
I did, 1972, Ron.
It's kind of a hanging breaking ball. Usually you don't get that call.
Lugo working quickly. Hammered out into left field. Cespedes on his horse, not going to get there. One hop off the wall. Anthony Rendon standing up into second. His second hit of the night.
No need to change his swing. Pure.
Covers this one. Fastball. Tried to come up and in.
Have an advantage in the count. You want to try to get that ball on the inside corner or off the plate in. You don't want to miss out over the plate when you have the advantage. Easier said than done.
Matt Wieters knocked in the first run of the game in the first inning.
You know who the best player in that Florida State League was in 1972?
Who was it?
Jim Rice. He was as big. I was 18 years old, and Jim Rice was playing right field for the Winter Haven Red Sox.
Yep.
And it was clear that he was something extraordinarily better and advanced than anybody else.
He's like he had muscles before guys had muscles, right?
He was a player.
Right to Adrian Gonzalez for the final out of the inning. So they strand Rendon down at second. See glorious sunset here tonight as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning, and Yoenis Cespedes leads it off against Tanner Roark, who's been really good so far, giving up just 2 hits. Cespedes doubled to left in his first at bat.
Cespedes smoked the fastball on his last at bat. Let's see if Roark goes after him again with his fastball or tries to go soft with the breaking ball or changeup. Right after him. Pitches from the third base side of the rubber, steps across his body. And what that should do, it should make it a lot tougher for the right-handed hitter to see that breaking ball that's coming almost out of his ear, at his ear, before it breaks over the plate.
Here's the 1-2 from Roark to Cespedes. Well, Nationals coming off a season in which they won 97 a year ago.
on the NL East by 20 games.
This one is hammered out into left field. Back goes Eaton. He looks up, and it is gone. Yoenis Cespedes, his 4th home run of the spring, and he gets the Mets on the board.
Well, I was taught, Keith, from an early age, right-handed changeup to a right-handed hitter is a no-go zone. Never throw that pitch.
Well, 2 strikes after he fouled off a good slider away means he's keeping that shoulder in. That is not a pitch that I would recommend. And that's also pretty good hitting by Mr. Cespedes. And such strength, let go with one hand. And oh boy. Okay.
So Yoenis Cespedes looks healthy. That wrist appears to be okay. The shoulder appears to be okay.
Well, the Mets are going to have a formidable lineup. They're going to have a lot of power. Ooh, where's that pitch?
Mets are going to hit a ton of homers. You like this pitch, Keith? Change up, away, and down.
Boy, that could have been had to be just down a little bit. That could have gone either way.
Really comes back. They're going to hit a ton of homers. They're going to go base to base kind of offense.
Yep.
So how good is their pitching? That really is what the question was before last year, and same question this year.
Jay Bruce takes a strike. Count goes full. So we see the shift on Jay Bruce. He's going to see a lot of that. Saw a lot of that last year, coming off a 36 home run season. So Jay Bruce is aboard via the walk.
See, Roark was mad at himself for that walk. He's a guy that doesn't walk a lot of hitters. So.
It's a serious beard.
Todd Frazier now with a runner on. First pitch swinging through the left side. That's a base hit for Todd Frazier. And the Mets have first and second with nobody out.
Hanging breaking ball.
Asdrubal Cabrera was originally in the lineup on Tuesday against the Cardinals down in Jupiter, but he was a late scratch. Tooth was acting up, had to have a tooth pulled, and so he's back in there tonight.
First time that Roark has had a little bit of trouble here.
Jay Bruce leads off second. Todd Frazier off first.
Two changeups in a row, and he's finding himself 2-0.
Two changeups in a row. 3-2 breaking ball to Bruce for the walk. You know, it doesn't matter what kind of game it is. When someone takes your bridge, Cespedes did, sometimes you get a little hesitant the next couple of hitters. You have to just have to wipe it away like it never happened. Three changeups in a row, Keith.
Wow. That was not a good location. 64 degrees, folks, up north. I know that. Just thought I'd bring that up. I want you to know that I'm in a jacket. Why is it that 64 feels like it's 45 down here.
Well, it's all relative for you.
It's always windy when it's cold here. Right, so I got my jacket.
It's a nice SNY jacket.
How about the SNY shirt? You didn't bother to like flip that on for the day?
I'm wearing the jacket.
Oh.
You know, it is a little chilly up here in the booth, but I didn't want to say anything because of the folks back home. I mean, if we complain about the weather,
I'm not.
No, you're not complaining.
I'm not.
You're just pointing it out.
Being factual.
Correct. Cabrera pops it up into shallow right field. Rayburn, Taylor, and it's going to be Taylor who makes the catch for the first out. Mets fans, spring training is here and on MLB.tv. Watch select spring training games live on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply for regular season games. Visit MLB.tv for details. That brings up Adrian Gonzalez.
Well, Keith, like you said, you talked about him in the open. He could use, even though it's spring training, use himself a extra base knock right here.
I think a veteran like Adrian is find the rhythm, particularly the week to go. Well, 5-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover.
Is he still a 288 hitter? We'll see.
Signed with the Mets for the minimum.
Always considered Adrian Gonzalez a very intelligent hitter. He was always a good breaking ball hitter. How many times did he hurt Mets pitchers on bad changeups?
Here's the 0-2 from Roark to Adrian Gonzalez. That one is hit in the air into center field. Taylor's not going to get there. Plays it on a hop. Bruce around third. He's going to score.
Taylor missed the cutoff man.
Yep.
There's that hit.
It's good to see him go the other way. When you're struggling and trying to find your swing, don't try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Did Bruce run through a sign here? He didn't expect to be sent home.
Yeah.
And a little bit surprised he was sent home.
So the Mets have 2 in here in the 4th inning. As Ahmed Rosario, chance to do some damage. Oh!
Ouch.
And Rosario hit by the pitch. Did it get the armor?
Yes, it did. Yep.
We talk about all the batting armor guys wear these days, but there's an indication of it being successful.
Well, it's supposed to keep players in the game and out of the disabled list, but at the same time makes it a little easier for them to stay in there. There's the armor being taken by the bat boy. Derek Lilliquist is now the pitching coach out to talk to Tanner Roark. He has switched jobs. He was the Cardinals pitching coach. He came here to Washington. Washington pitching coach Mike Maddox went to St. Louis.
We'll see Mike Maddox here tomorrow afternoon when the Cards come to town. A game you can see here on SNY.
Lucky enough before the game to see the GOAT. Tim McCarver came in our booth for a while. Does 32 games with the Cardinals this season. 2 in a row.
Tomas Nido's got to jump out of the way there.
Right. Roark's really struggling here.
Todd Frazier down at third. Gonzalez second. Rosario off first. And the count evens at 1.
Everything by Roark this inning is, if you've noticed, up in the strike zone. He is not that kind of pitcher. He usually stays down. Of course, thinking ground ball if you're a pitcher here.
Cespedes got this bottom of the 4th inning off and going for the Mets with his 4th home run of the spring. A majestic shot out to left field. Roark began this spring with 8 scoreless innings, but has given up 6 runs over his last 7. Nito out into right field. Rayburn not going to get there. It drops in. 1 run scores. Frazier comes in, and Cabrera, I should say Gonzalez, holds up down at third.
So Nito gets his hits, doesn't he? Not always pretty. A ground ball for his first hit, and now broken bat to the right field, but effective.
Got it off the label there. It looked like he almost broke his bat. Well, the Mets are back in the hunt.
Bases remain full for the pitcher, Seth Lugo. Nationals got 2 in the first, 3 in the second. The Mets have put up 3 here in the bottom of the 4th.
Home run by Cespedes has shaken Roark to his core. Not the same pitcher as he was in the first 3.
Pitching from the stretch.
Yep.
That one's in there for a called strike, and the count evens at 2-2. Adrian Gonzalez at third. Med Rosario down at second. Tomas Nido at first. Bases loaded with Mets here with 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. And Lugo into left field. There's a base hit. 1 run scores. Rosario coming around. He's going to score, and we are all tied up now at 5-5.
Lugo hit a breaking ball.
Big smile on the face of Seth Lugo.
Well, the Mets have a good hitting pitching staff. It's the hanger. Not that bad a hanger. Good hitting by Seth.
Brandon Nimmo, the 9th batter of the inning here for the Mets. Still just 1 down. First pitch swinging out into left field. That's going to drop in from fair ball into the left field corner. Nito scores, and Lugo holds up down at third, but that's a RBI double for Brandon Nimmo.
Nice idea at the plate by Nimmo. Remember, his last at bat, threw a bunch of change-ups. What does he do? He goes up the other way this 3rd time at the plate. Nicely done.
Tim Collins warming up in the Nationals bullpen.
Little lefty with a good curveball.
Yoenis Cespedes got this inning going for the Mets with the home run out into left field, and rally does continue with 2 in scoring position.
It's Chip Hale there on the left. He's the bench coach for Dave Martinez, discussing how many pitches they're going to let Roark go as they've got their bullpen and Tim Collins getting loose.
This is Roark's 33rd pitch of the inning.
Everything up like he's sometimes when you tire, the ball gets up. You think at this point in the spring training you wouldn't get tired in the 4th inning, but I've seen it happen. Another fastball up in the middle.
Everything a little bit up in the zone.
I think if this had been a regular season ball game, this Roark would have already been out.
Yeah.
He had a pitcher up earlier. He did just want him, like you said, Gare, with Ronnie, excuse me, with Wheeler, let him stretch it out, even if he's getting racky-tacked.
Here's the home run on a changeup. This was wacky-tacked.
Let go with one hand, stayed back. He's just so strong.
Seems like a while ago, but it was earlier this inning, and here's the 2-2 now from Roark to Cespedes. And the count goes full.
Pound for pound, Cespedes has got to be one of the strongest guys in the game.
That one is hit a mile high out into left field. Eaton drifting over. He's going to make the catch. Lugo tags from third, and he races in. And the Mets have put up 7 runs here in the bottom of the 4th.
Called the copter party. 7.
Jay Bruce walked in his first at bat this inning.
And if you've noticed, all fastballs to Cespedes, first pitch fastball to Bruce. So Roark has gone off his kind of game plan of mixing up all his pitches, and it's kind of, sometimes you pitch angry out there when you're going up a 7 spot.
Jay Bruce has had 5 30-plus home run seasons in his big league career.
The changeup is eluded, is headed for the hills on Roark. Can't get it over. And get behind the count with your secondary pitches. Boy, it's a hitter's delight.
This is Roark's 80th pitch of the night. Still not out of it here in the 4th. He's already thrown 42 pitches.
Yeah, this will be his last batter. Has to be. This many pitches in the inning. Reliever ready. You don't worry about the lefty-righty kind of thing here. Shouldn't anyway in spring.
Jay Bruce out into right field. Back goes Rayburn. He looks up, and It is gone. Jay Bruce, a 2-run jack. And the Mets now lead it 9-5.
Boy, oh boy.
And those aren't boos, those are Bruce's. Second homer of the spring for Jay Bruce.
No, that's it for Tanner. He went to his changeup, Ronnie, and he just got, there's a high change out over the middle. Oh boy.
Everything was high in that inning.
So a pitching change as the Mets continue to bat here in the fourth. The Mets continue to bat here. They put up 9 runs in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Ooh. And hit by
Todd Frazier. Hit by the pitch.
Two batters hitting this inning. One with the fastball to Rosario, and here just a breaking ball hits him on the quad.
Asdrubal Cabrera is the 13th batter of the inning.
Baker's dozen.
Always wondered where that 13th pastry went.
Andrew Stevenson is taken over in left field for the Nationals. Cabrera batting 5th for the Mets here tonight. Had a chance to visit with him recently. Talk about his place in the lineup. We're going to see him in the leadoff spot some this year, you would think, certainly before Michael Conforto comes back. And we're talking about the way just the construction of a lineup has changed. That leadoff spot used to be a very different place, and he said he feels very comfortable. He said first time through, okay, you look at a lot of pitches, but after that, he doesn't see much change.
Well, especially because he is a first ball, fastball hitter, so that's what his preference would be. But when you lead off, like you said, you have to be a little more patient. It's an on-base percentage place in the lineup now. Doesn't matter how you run. Now, you prefer to have both, Have a guy who's high on base percentage and can run a little bit, but
Todd Frazier leads off first.
going to see some of the Nationals players today are going to have some back injuries tomorrow. They've been out there a long time, right?
Yes, they have. Try it in Atlanta or St. Louis on AstroTurf, particularly St. Louis.
Midsummer.
Ooh, August.
Humid. Popped up.
I lost the ball myself.
Can't
I lost
find it. But it's a couple of rows into the seats, but he put his hands up. He did not see that ball, lost in the lights.
I lost it myself.
We're sort of at that dusk time of night. Not really that dark yet.
Gloaming.
Yes.
Gary, the gloaming.
Oh.
The gloaming.
In spring training, guys aren't used to playing under the lights, so that even makes it doubly more difficult.
Okay, can they see it?
Cabrera reaches out on the infield. Who's going to take it? It's going to be Defoe. But the Mets put up a 9 spot and lead the Nationals 9-5. Under the lights at first, Data Field, Mets and the Washington Nationals. Boy, that is.
What is it, Keith? Red sky at night?
Sailor's Delight.
There you go.
Seth Lugo back out there for the Mets. And Michael Taylor takes a called strike. Taylor reached on a bunt single in the first, and he struck out in the second. On the ground to shortstop. Rosario for the first out. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game.
Folks at home, if you notice one thing, Seth Lugo tonight's ball game, working extremely quickly. Players behind you love that. Just get it, get your sign and go. Just get a rhythm, because the players will have a rhythm with you.
Ryan Rayburn up there for the Nationals. So it's going to be very interesting to see here whether Seth Lugo, who we all figure is going to be on this club, whether he is going to sneak into that 5th spot until Jason Vargas comes back after what we saw from Zach Wheeler tonight.
Yeah, if it's a, kind of a true meritocracy and you see his numbers, he's been better as a reliever, but starts have been pretty good too. I think he's he gives you a professional effort every single time. I think that if it's a meritocracy coming out of spring training, Zach hasn't done anything that's distinguished himself.
Well, Mickey Callaway's been pretty adamant in saying we are going to take the best guys. Doesn't matter if they're want to stretch them out in Vegas. We want our best pitchers here, and we want the guys who show us the most in the spring. And if that's the case, and under the philosophy that Mickey Callaway brings over, and that's in there for a called strike 3. You would figure Lugo's going to be a guy who pitches 5 innings and then he's going to go to his bullpen.
Good fastball in.
Locked him up.
You say that, Gary, and I've heard that almost every spring training, but that very rarely happens. Guys that run out of options. If Montero hadn't hurt his UCL and need Tommy John surgery, he might have made this team because he didn't have any more options. So that happens all the time. You want to go north with your 12, 13 best, whatever you decide. Very rarely happens.
Well, I'm happy you mentioned that because we hadn't mentioned it yet, but Rafael Montero came down today, suffered a torn UCL
ligament. Yep.
They believe it happened on Tuesday down in Jupiter against the Cardinals, and he is lost for the season, most likely going to have Tommy John surgery.
And he hasn't distinguished himself this spring either.
That was going to be a decision that Mickey Callaway was going to have to make simply because he was out of options. And Reed Brignac works out a walk. So there's the news on Montero. Appears to be heading for Tommy John surgery. And Jason Vargas was back in the clubhouse today with a big
cast
on his arm after having that hemate bone surgery back in New York on Tuesday.
On his glove hand, fortunately. The issue, Ronnie, it's got to be his grip on his glove, correct?
Grip on the glove. Line drives right back at you, which is how it happened. Just really strength in that and the wrist if you make sure you don't lose too much. But he's kind of a gamer, Vargas. I don't think he's going to be out too long.
Andrew Stevenson, his first at bat of the night. That's sort of a really unusual thing to happen to a pitcher, that hemate bone broken.
When you get a bullet up the middle, all you're trying to do is get some leather on it. You don't want it to hit your body. Just try to get any kind of leather in it. He was not able to. Stevenson's one of the guys last year that got a lot of at-bats after Bryce Harper hurt his knee running down to first base. Did not have a great go of it, but he's had a pretty good spring training.
Nice.
That's it there for a called strike 3. Second strikeout of the inning for Seth Lugo, and the Mets still lead it 9-5.
Well, nice numbers from Seth Lugo. Only the 1 walk, 4 punch outs, and maybe even more importantly, that ringing single to drive in 2 in that 9-run 4th.
Tim Collins back out there for the Nationals. It's skied into left field. Andrew Stevenson makes the catch. Med Rosario is going to be your opening day shortstop.
Out in front of that changeup, Rosario has hardly walked this spring. I think only once. He's a free swinger and he lets it fly. He's going to be very susceptible to secondary pitches, off-speed breaking balls. But he rips the bat. He's got a chance.
Well, plate discipline is something that has been much talked about when it comes to Ahmed Rosario, and learning on the job is part of it.
Well, listen, you know he's got a ton of talent, but there's a fine line between, you know, making sure you have plate discipline and taking away a hitter's aggressive tendencies. You got to walk that fine line.
You're talking about the organization.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to take away his, you know, his aggressiveness by making him passive.
Exactly. It's a fine line of, like you said, Ronnie.
There's a sharply hit ball into left field for Ahmed Rosario. Turns first. He's going to try for second, and he's in there safely. Ahmed Rosario hustling right out of the box. Turns a single into a double.
Well, he shows a lot of speed here. He just puts it into 5th gear as he rounds first. Gets that fastball nicely ripped. And he turns it on here. You can run.
Well, we know the Mets would love to see him at the top of the lineup. There's a guy who's just perfect for the top of the lineup when he discovers how to get on base a little bit more. Rosario takes off for third, and he's in there safely with a stolen base.
Well, they didn't hold him, and then they made the move too late. Collins could have wheeled and turned. See the second baseman Defoe comes in late, but not enough. Now, if you're the Nationals, you got to put that in the memory bank, don't you? That Rosario likes to run. You're going to have to keep him a little closer during the regular season.
Nationals have the infield in. Tomas Nido with 2 singles and an RBI on the night. Young catcher known more for his defense and his pitch framing than for his bat. But he did win the batting title down in the Florida State League back in 2016, right?
In St. Lucie.
Yep. So Nido goes down.
Well, I talked about Collins before. His strength is his real good breaking pitch. That's a big curveball.
Seth Lugo gets another at bat. His last one was extremely productive. 2 RBI single.
Going to get 4 innings out of Seth.
Yeah. think this is a big message from Mickey Callaway and his staff that Lugo is going to remain in the game, extended, because they need to extend him if they are going to consider him for that 5th spot.
So Seth Lugo goes down for out number 3. Ready for Mets baseball with Countdown to Opening Day, presented by East Coast Power and Gas. Live coverage beginning Thursday at 9 a.m. right here on SNY. We get a look at Seth Lugo out there on the mound. Back to work again. He's been really good so far here tonight.
Well, 3 innings through this Nationals lineup. Let's see how he looks here in the 4th.
Wilmer Defoe leads it off here in the 6th inning for Washington. Well, the prevailing feeling on Lugo is that he's a 2 times through the order pitcher.
Well, that's how they're starting to feel about most starting pitchers, unless they're the real elite guys, is that how do you keep that pitcher from facing the lineup for the 3rd time? Don't completely get it. I think part of it is the way you develop pitchers is why they have difficulties the 3rd time around. If you develop them for a sprint, then they're not going to do very well in the marathon of a 9-inning game.
Count goes full on Wilmer Defoe.
This is the kind of hitter to lead off an inning, 4-run lead. You literally throw the ball right down the middle. I mean, you want to work the bottom part of the strike zone, but no leadoff walks. Challenge him.
And that one, a called 3rd strike on the inside corner.
Well, what we've seen, a lot of inside fastballs from Seth, and this is coming from Dave Island, who mentioned from the get-go in spring training that he was going to pound into the heads of the Met pitchers to throw more inside, even if it meant hitting guys. Wants to throw in, take control of that inside corner, and you're seeing it from Lugo tonight.
5 strikeouts for Seth Lugo. Spencer Keyboom his first at bat of the night for the Nationals.
Good name for a hitter, isn't it?
It is.
Great baseball family, the Keybooms.
Frazier, that's a fair ball. And that's the second out.
I got laughed at on that one, but his brother Carter was a high draft pick for the Nationals. They have a younger brother who plays for the University of Georgia, so it is a Drew-like family of baseball players.
The Keybooms.
Yes.
Howie Kendrick now. First pitch swinging again, down to Frazier. And so a 1-2-3 6th inning here for a very impressive Seth Lugo. He struck out 5, but he walked just 1.
Both Callaway and Island enjoyed that 4 innings from Lugo. Hitting 2. Well, Sean Kelly had a great year in San Diego, worked it into a extended contract with the Nationals. Last year when they were having the tryout for the closer, he was one of the guys that was not effective. And that's why Mike Rizzo had to make those trades late in the year for Doolittle, Ryan Matz, and Brandon Kinsler, sorry.
Shewald up in the Mets bullpen. He's going to be next up as Brandon Nimmo leads it off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Sean Kelly making his 7th appearance this spring. As you mentioned, Ronnie, we know about Doolittle and Matson and Kinsler, but they've got some issues they're dealing with. Coda Glover, he's hurt. Joaquin Benoit not going to be ready for the start of the season. Let's go downstairs right now. Seth Lugo is on headset. It is brought to you by Citi. Seth, it's Gary Apple with Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez, and man, you looked really dialed in tonight.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I felt really good out there.
Forget about the pitching. How'd you hit that hanging breaking ball? Outstanding.
Well, actually, I've seen that one before. He's got me out on that pitch before, so saw the first one. I was kind of looking for it.
Seth, saw that you were got a lot of strikeouts, called fastballs in. Working on that tonight?
Yeah, that's something I've been working on all spring. Inside the lefties and away to righties. Mainly the sinker out there. You know, start off the plate and come back over.
Your last strikeout was the breaking ball away, back door. That's something we've seen from you, but it seemed like you have that more dialed in here in spring.
Yeah, it's something Mickey talked about as soon as I got down to Florida. You know, he wanted me to throw a lot more curveballs, and you know, happy to do it. So I've been working on that, and it's been coming along really well. I'm really pleased with it.
Well, Mickey's been pretty adamant about the entire staff, right? He and Dave Island throwing more curveballs because of the change in the game and pitchers attacking launch angle. Do you think about that? Is that a conscious thing you think about because of the way hitters have changed the approach in many ways?
Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on the curveball up at the very top of the zone. You know, some umpires call it, some umpires won't, but you know, you don't get a lot of swings on it. So that and fastballs up in the zone. You know, you see DeGrom striking out everybody that fastball up. So you know, trying to work at the top of the zone now, and it's starting to change the game a little bit.
Seth, let me ask you a question. Does it make it difficult for you being in spring training and kind of being on the bubble as Cespedes another bolt to left field?
Yoenis Cespedes, and that one is gone. That is his second home run of the night. Yoenis Cespedes now with 5 home runs this spring, and talk about being dialed in. "11 unanswered runs for the New York Mets."
He's out in front again, Keith, but it just, I guess, shows you how strong this Cespedes can be.
Look at the extension, and almost the same swing. Let go with one hand, and why would you want to throw him an off-speed pitch tonight? I have no idea.
So 11 unanswered runs by the Mets.
Well, sorry, Seth. I was just asking, does it make it difficult in spring training when you're on the bubble of whether you're going to start or be in the bullpen, or do you just try to be excellent whenever they call on you?
Well, I could see how you know, it's kind of tough or frustrating, but I don't let that get to me. You know, I show up every day ready to work, and you know, that's been kind of my attitude my whole career, and I feel like it's got me to this point. So, you know, just show up and ready to do whatever they ask me to do, and that's the way I got to go.
Well, you showed up in a big way tonight, Seth. Well done. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
All right, thanks for having me on.
John Mora is the hitter here in the 6th inning. The Mets again have put up 11 unanswered after falling behind 5-0. A rather rude greeting for Sean Kelly.
Well, Cespedes is on top of his game tonight.
Well, with a week to go to opening day, this is when you want to find it and get your rhythm and carry it right into the season.
Well, a week to go, are you playing every day, Keith, or
I think
not?
you play, well, you play every day because you've got to, we weren't in that great a shape as these guys are today. And I've always said, good pitch right there, breaking ball, called third strike. No matter how hard you work out, I was an everyday player, there's no substitute to being out there. And there's the pitch, good down and in breaker. There's nothing that builds up your stamina more than to get out there and play 9 and stand in the field. Believe it or not, folks, even though you're just standing. So he's had a big night.
Todd Frazier singled and scored in the 4th inning. And the Mets sent 13 to the plate. This one's hit out into left field, and that one is off the top of the wall, and that is out. A home run for Todd Frazier. That's his 2nd home run of the spring.
Another hanging breaking ball, Keith.
Those hangers seem to go a lot further, don't they? Up 2. Belt high.
That hit right off the top of the fence there.
Yes, it did.
That was like a little skee ball reaction right there from Coney Island.
The Mets are teeing off tonight.
Asdrubal Cabrera hitless so far on the night, 0 for 3, but good to see Frazier. I think the Mets need to see him break out here these last few games. It's been a relatively quiet spring for Todd.
Well, a lot of guys, veterans, you tend to worry less. I've seen a lot of guys have bad springs, and all of a sudden, opening day, the first month of the season, they're hitting 400.
Obviously, you're less concerned, right, when it's a veteran player who's been through those battles?
Yeah, they've been through them before. Oh, nice.
Into the shift, Cabrera. And it's Defoe who lays out, and that's the second out here.
Defoe can pick it.
This is a very nice play. What's good about this, too, if you're an infielder, you're not on the dirt. You just get grass stains.
Thought those are harder to get out.
Sometimes when you dive for a ball in that dirt, you can skin your knee.
What was the old commercial? Whisk it?
That's right.
Not even sure they still make that. Adrian Gonzalez goes the opposite way. That's his second hit of the night.
And both hits to left center field. Line drives. Good sign from Adrian, who's been struggling. Right with the pitch. Very nice. When you're struggling, you just can't try to hit the ball. Can't try to pull the ball. Can't try to hit for power. You've got to go up the middle till you find your rhythm. And then you can start going and wailing a little bit if you get ahead. And the counter gets your pitch.
Matt Oberste is pinch running for Adrian Gonzalez.
Getting chilly, Ron?
Yeah.
One step ahead of you.
We get a check. Upcoming schedule presented by WB Mason.
Only 2 left on TV.
Cardinals tomorrow. We're here at 1 o'clock, and then no TV on Saturday. And then Sunday, it's a noon game against the Marlins right back here. Our final spring game on SNY, and the Mets' final spring game, aside from the exhibition game on Monday against AAA team, the 51s.
Yeah, they come back to New York on Monday night. Tuesday's an off day for the players, also known as find an apartment day in New York, and then back to the workout on Wednesday and ready for opening day.
Oberste leads off first, and Rosario skies one out into shallow right field. Rayburn has it lined up. But the Mets get 3 more courtesy of 2 home runs.
so far in spring training. So every outing for him, I wouldn't say he's on the bubble, but every outing important.
Gave up 3 runs on Tuesday against the Cardinals, but he does figure to make this bullpen. Anthony Rendon leads it off here in the 7th inning for Washington. Let's go back downstairs and welcome in Todd Frazier, who just hit that home run in the bottom of the 6th inning. Todd, Gary Apple with Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez. That had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, felt pretty good. You know, kind of still trying to find my swing a little bit, and we've been working today. Me and Russell and Slater working on a couple things, and now just going with what's comfortable, and today felt pretty good.
So, Todd, what have you been working on? You think you've been out in front, swinging at bad pitches, trying to get the ball deeper in the box, or what? Tell me.
Yeah, there's been a combination of things. I've been underneath on everything the last probably, 8 to 10 at bats. Popped up to the infield, pretty much predominantly most of those. So, for one, I'm underneath just a little bit too much. My stride's a little bit too long, and I went back and looked at a little bit of film. The coaching staff did. I looked at a little bit of film and from 2015 where I kind of took off a little bit and saw that I need to sink in my my approach a little bit, my back leg, and dominate the ball from there. So just little adjustments that people really don't understand in baseball, but it's if you don't know anything about it, it's something that it proves vital during the season. Oh boy.
Rendon out into left field. Back goes Champ Stewart, who's come into the game at the base of the wall, and he makes the catch. So a long out for Anthony Rendon.
Todd, I was going to ask you, do you think at this point in your career, when you've become a veteran, that when you tell the hitting coach there's certain 3 or 4 trigger points that to look for in your swing to help you out if you're going through a struggling time?
Yeah, there's a couple things for me. If my head's moving too much, like I said, if I'm getting too wide in my base, that pitch kind of borderline around the belt area is something that I'm not going to hit. I'm just going to get underneath it every time. So for me, I got to stay on top. I got to stride just a little bit less and focus on getting my foot down just a little bit earlier so I can see it.
We were talking a few minutes ago, Todd, about certain guys and the way you approach camp, and certain guys struggle in the spring and then the season begins and, man, you just come flying out of the gate. How do you approach the spring? Do you put much stock in what you do down here?
No, not really at all, to be honest with you. If I was a little younger in my prime trying to make a team, I think there'd be a little problem. But for me, knowing that I'm the third baseman for the New York Mets kind of gives me a little comfort, so I can work on a lot of different things, so I can get prepared and understand I can take 2 or 3 pitches and see where I am. Try and drive the ball the other way, and most of the time I probably won't. I'll probably roll it over, but the thing for me is just seeing pitches, understanding what they're going to throw me, and I want to see as many pitchers as possible since I haven't been in the National League in a couple years. So for me, seeing these pitchers, especially Washington Nationals, Cardinals, we got facing coming up, so see as many as we can and see what they're trying to do with me, because they have a lot of tendencies, pitchers do, and you just got to be prepared for them.
Michael Taylor singles into left field with 2 outs. We saw you and Yoenis Cespedes speaking there, not to give us any state secrets.
Nah, no secrets at all. We were just talking. We were basically just talking about, what you were looking for. What pitch he threw you. If he doesn't mind telling me as he's coming off. One of those things, those little tricks of the trade kind of thing. Was it cutting? Was it sinking? We know the speed because it's always going to be on the scoreboard. We got to know, if his ball's moving, and that's the biggest thing for hitters. The more you know, the better prepared you can be.
Well, Todd, we thank you for spending a few minutes with us. Congratulations on a good night.
All right, thank you very much.
Todd Frazier joining us from down in the Mets dugout. Shortstop. They go the short way. Rosario and the Mets leave a base runner. The Mets have scored a dozen unanswered runs. They lead the Nationals 12-5. The booth has gotten a little bit more crowded because my studio partner, Nelson Figueroa, has joined us.
Couldn't even do this at home at Citi Field.
You'd be sitting on that tall chair, right?
That's right, the bar
and I never understand why you're the guy who always...
it's all seniority.
See? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Gary's got the most. Keith's right behind him, and, that's how it goes.
What time do you guys get home after the post-game show? That's what I want to know.
Well, Nelson and I usually go for a hot meal after the show.
You do.
Now, what'd you think of Seth Lugo?
Seth Lugo was outstanding, and that's he's one of those guys that you have that quiet confidence in. Every time he goes out there, he's able to pound the strike zone, doesn't kill himself. Those 4 pitches for strikes, does everything you want. I am very comfortable with having him as a number 5 starter. Very comfortable. He could be a number 5 starter or better with any team in the league. So he's a very nice luxury for the Mets to have as a long man, as a guy in the bullpen. He's someone you can count on because he doesn't get overwhelmed. He gave up that double with 2 outs, and you sit back.
Kevin Plawecki just into the game, out into left field, and that is out number 1. There's Alejandro Diazo, the former Met, making the catch.
Yeah, you see Lugo just able to throw that fastball both sides of the plate. Really good curveball. 80 miles an hour, can change speed so well, and he still has 96, 97 in the tank, but he doesn't have to rear back and always throw that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Love the way he's able to mix it up.
What's interesting, Nelson, is that he alluded to it when we were interviewing him about throwing his curveball more. In today's game, where the analytics tells you Doolittle in for the Washington Nationals, the analytics will tell you to throw that breaking ball more often than it has been in the past. Do you think the analytics would help a guy like Seth Lugo?
You know what? I think he can take advantage of it because of everyone in baseball now is 95 with a 90-mile-an-hour slider. Hitters are already very comfortable against that. So now it's more about taking off speed and putting more spin on it. We know he has the highest spin rate curveball. He just didn't have a lot of success with that curveball. Having a guy like Mickey Callaway, who watched Trevor Bauer kind of reinvent himself because of the curveball, I think that's a guy that Seth Lugo can emulate and really maximize using the 2 different breaking pitches. The 2-seamer, the 4-seamer up in the strike zone can exploit so many holes in each hitter, and he can adapt as the game goes on if he gives up a hit to a certain hitter.
So really good night for Seth Lugo. Not the same for the starting pitcher tonight, Zach Wheeler, and it was an important start. We talked about the gravity of tonight's start for Wheeler as Evans goes down on the strikeout. What was most troubling about Wheeler tonight for you?
There wasn't a lot of defense behind him. It was some shoddy defense. We saw some errors. We also saw some miscues and bad plays. But you have to be able to stop the bleeding. You have to find a way to not rear back and make another mistake to compound an error or 2. Most of those things that happened could have been left with maybe 1 run. You want to put up, just some sticks up there, a couple of single runs, maybe a 2-run. Leave it at that. But it's always been something that has troubled Zach Wheeler, the big inning. And, he'll cruise along and then all of a sudden run out of gas. Here early on, yes, you're trying to work on things, but not at this point in spring training when you have an opportunity of getting back into this rotation and the job is almost being handed to you because someone's having surgery. This is not the kind of night he wanted to have, and it's very disappointing to see him continue to make the same mistakes.
Brandon Nimmo, his 3rd hit of the night, and he's going to not only make it to second, stops right there. He thought about going to 3rd for a moment there.
Well, he just took his eye off of the ball a little bit too quick. Nicely done off the left-hander, and a very quality left-hander. Nimmo stays in on lefties, and he said he came into this game struggling a bit. So this is a big game for him. The 3 hits, and we know that he brings energy and he brings speed. Not a lot of speed in this club. He's got to keep his eye on the ball there, and he could have gone to 3rd.
And you can't take away that base hit is off a breaking ball from Doolittle. Lefty on lefty matchup. It's impressive.
Yeah, and talking about Doolittle and talking about the analytics, he's a guy who throws high in the strike zone, pounds the strike zone up, and then throws that split finger right on top of the plate. So he really tries to avoid the middle of the strike zone by pitching up and down, where a lot of guys make the mistakes of in and out and leave the ball in the middle of the plate.
Such a unique delivery, at least from the stretch there.
Well, while he's waiting for the sign, he just props his chin and that beard on top of his glove.
Very peculiar.
At a right angle.
How good do you have to be to do that, though?
I can't even do that. My elbow doesn't bend like that
You're
anymore.
a guy with 88 and you're doing that on the mound. A little scary.
So you guys have the pre and post. Anything in store for us this year that we haven't seen in the last couple of years?
You know, being in the new studio is such a blessing for us. We can do so many new things. We have much better technology. We're starting to use the touchscreen a little bit more towards the end of the season. I think we're going to be able to incorporate that into a lot of the post-game. Post-game is going to be a little bit longer coming up, and that gives us an opportunity to maybe break down some things that have happened in the game a lot better than we have in the past. So I'm excited for that.
See, our market research has told us that the fans would like to hear Nelson opine a little bit longer on the post-game show.
Really?
And so we'll go a little bit longer on the post-game this year.
How about my favorite, Irrational Tweet Theater?
Well, Irrational Tweet Theater will be coming back.
Okay, nice.
Next year. This year, I should say.
Yeah.
We had our baseball dinner down here. Our SNY baseball dinner is.
Never invited to that
Stewart
anymore. Why is that?
takes a strike. You don't.
I was never. Well,
Keith,
I've never been to one.
No, you were there.
I forget.
He sat right next to me. That's how memorable
It
I
was
am.
the dinner at Tudor Fresco.
Oh, at Fresco. I thought you were talking about the Mets welcome home dinner.
No, our dinner down here with Kurt and.
Yeah, I showed up.
Right, so as Champ Stewart goes down on strikes, we'll continue it. There it is. When we come back in a moment.
There it is.
8988, Keith.
I know that place.
Play the Milwaukee Brewers at 7:10 p.m. Fans can stay after the game, enjoy a fireworks show. It will light up the Citi Field sky. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks.
Jacob Rame in the game, came over from the Dodgers in the Curtis Granderson trade. And lots of hits this spring training, but also a lot of strikeouts. He's thrown harder this spring than he did at the end of the season with the extra month added on for Jacob.
I got the sense with Jacob that when he came up in September that, you know, he got traded in midseason.
It was overwhelming, yeah.
He was uncomfortable, just didn't get settled in. So this is a spring where he can settle.
Reed Brignac into center field. Brandon Nimmo comes in to make the catch.
I also think a little bit in September and August you're sitting there and trying to impress everybody every time out there, trying to do a little bit too much. Like you said, that fastball may have had 97, 98 in the tank, but he's flattening it out and leaving it up in the zone at 95 because he's overthrowing.
Well, he's only got one walk this spring, and last September he walked a lot of guys. So I just think he's just much more comfortable, much more at home.
Andrew Stevenson is second at bat of the night. He struck out in the 5th inning. Raym's got a real good shot, I think, to make this bullpen.
Well, you've got guys, you know, really losing their jobs more so than anything. And so if he can stay steady and keep pounding the strike zone, doing the little things like that, I think they will learn to trust him a lot more going down the stretch here.
So what do you guys do during the game? Are you sitting together watching the game and taking notes and figuring out what you're going to talk about in the post game? And does it change over the course of the game? Because you could literally have the script written, but then someone hits a 3-run bomb and it changes.
Well, the post game show is a complete ad-lib show. So we've got our scorecards. I have my
you keep score?
I keep score.
That's a must.
That's the only way I could.
Nelson, do you?
I do not, but what I do is I highlight what happened in the inning. Things because I have to go into the video room and go in there and say, hey, in the 3rd, 4th inning, give me that breaking ball, give me that fastball. So I highlight those things because I know the box score. And Gary has that, and so I'm watching every single play with him, so he has that. So when he comes back to me and asks me the question or what happened in that inning, I already have the highlight with the video to back it up to show, hey, this is what happened.
Well, you know, we've got with all this great new technology we have, so he'll be in with some of the editors, you know, painting up video and really displaying how certain pitchers are working that night and all those sorts of things.
Oh, good fastball. Go sit down.
Will you, we were just talking about analytics, will you check on the percentage of breaking balls if there's a distinct difference in the last outing for a certain pitcher to this outing?
A guy like Seth Lugo, absolutely. Okay. I'll sit there and I'll analyze his curveball because you hear time and time again, highest spin rate, highest spin rate. But if you're not getting outs with that highest spin rate curveball, maybe you got to put it in your back pocket, use that slider a little more.
Sierra to Rosario for a quick inning for Jacob Rame. Nelson, great to visit with you, my friend. I'll see you back in the studio.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Nelson, good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
We go to the bottom of the 8th here at Port St. Lucie. And lead the Nationals 12-5. Sammy Solis is the new pitcher for Washington.
Solis, big left-hander with good stuff. Having a good spring so far.
John Morris struck out his first at bat. Robert Gazelman up in the Mets bullpen. We'll see him in the 9th inning.
I think that kind of tells you something right there, because Gazelman's only going to work 1 inning, and Lugo went 4. I think there's been some decisions that people have pitched their way into. Lugo has pitched his way on that rotation.
Mora goes around for a 3rd strike.
Oh.
Well, it's one of the most popular things in America right now. It is the Gary Keith Ron Instagram account. You can follow our esteemed broadcast crew.
Keith, what are you saying in the Seinfeld thing in the bottom left?
Over there on the grassy knoll.
I love you guys in the field, and I love Ronnie, you on Sesame Street.
I like that.
Is Big Bird checking me out? It's strange, isn't it?
There's a little bit of a, what's he doing here type thing. How old were you there?
Boy, I think I was 23.
Oh, Gary's up on the berm. Gary's in Boston tonight.
I think
And
Gary's
this weekend for the NCAA tournament.
You'd never find him in Houndstooth. I'm telling you right now.
I like his tie selection the last couple of years. He's upgraded.
He's upped his game.
And Lynn has been terrific. His wife, his lovely bride.
Well, Gary is, you're the person with the ties on this group, the best, well-dressed.
As I like to say back in the studio when somebody said, I give a tying clinic on Thursdays.
Me too.
Right before pregame. Anybody who's interested, stop into the office.
Can you tie a bow tie?
I cannot. What? Oh my gosh. Look at this. Look at Gary. Moon over Parador. Moon over Gary.
Strike 3.
Luis Carpio goes down, so back-to-back strikeouts for Sammy Solis.
I can't tie a bow tie.
A bow tie. I have
Part of
tried
being
so
a gentleman.
many.
You
I
have to
know.
be able to do that.
You're good at it, obviously.
You have to do it.
I've pulled up YouTube. I've stood in front of the mirror. I've gone for tutorials.
Next time I'm in studio, I'll give you.
Please.
Take me 10 minutes.
I have no desire.
No, I have
the tuxedo. I got the fake tie.
You do?
Oh, of course.
Here's the thing. You can get away with it with a tuxedo. A regular tie, you can't go with a fake tie.
I would not. I feel like I'm Mr. Peabody when I'm wearing those things.
Mr. Peabody.
Was it tuxedo?
Tennessee tuxedo?
Tennessee tuxedo.
When I watch Sammy Solis pitch, he looks a little bit body type like my good friend Dan Plesac.
Yes.
Big, strong left-hander.
This is Andrew Eli. He took over at second base for Asdrubal Cabrera. 1-2 pitch from Solis. In there for a called 3rd strike, and so Sammy Solis strikes out the side. We go to the 9th. We go to the top of the 9th inning here in Port St. Lucie. Robert Gazelman on to try and close it out here for the Mets.
See his spring training numbers so far. What I find interesting as he comes in here to the game, right from the stretch. So feeling and acting like a reliever.
That's right back up the middle for a Spencer Keyboom base hit.
Instead of making a visit to the mound, as so many catchers do now, he just used to fire a 100-mile-an-hour seed back at you. That was his way on the field to let you know that, hey, listen, I'm competing at a high level. I expect you to do the same.
The life of Hall of Fame catcher and Mets legend Gary Carter, told through the voices of those who knew him best. Kid, Gary Carter's story, Thursday at 6:30, only right here on SNY.
There it is. Oh, he was the final piece to that 86 Mets team. Final cog.
Chris Dominguez into left field for a base hit.
Dominguez has had a good spring training. Eleven-time All-Star.
Very athletic catcher.
For the size. I mean, he was a big man.
I played against him in Montreal before his knees started going south on him. He was very much like a bigger version of John Stearns behind the plate. It was very athletic catcher. Great quickness, great arm.
Wasn't he an infielder first and then they moved him behind the plate? I thought that was the case.
Gary Carter gone way too soon.
No fooling.
Robert Gazelman, 24 years old. Santa Monica, California native. When he's at his best, gets a lot of ground balls. Rosario, second for one, little hesitation, not going to turn the double play as Eli couldn't get it out of his glove.
Well, tailor-made double play here. Nice footwork by Rosario. Watch him sidle to his right, get in front. Beautiful. Two hands, perfect feed. Just couldn't get it out of the glove. That should have been two.
So runners at the corners here. Pedro Severino up there for the Nats.
Probably going to be the backup catcher behind Wieters. Very talented young catcher, especially defensively.
Well, either going to be Severino or Montero, correct?
That's right. I mean, probably a young player, Severino, might have to go to AAA because they want him to play every day. But I think he's the future of their catching.
Mets are back here on SNY tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock, as they welcome in the St. Louis Cardinals, team they're going to see on opening day a week from today out at Citi Field. 3-game set. The Mets and the Cardinals rounded down to third. They're going to get the out at second, and they turn the double play. Evans to Eli to Oberste, and that's going to do it. As Gazelman gets the double play to finish it off.
Well, the Mets with their 9th win, really the story is the 9-run fourth. I'll let Keith talk about that. But on the pitching side, Zach Wheeler now has given up 10 runs in his last 2 starts against the Nationals in 5 innings. But Seth Lugo was outstanding and might have won himself a spot as the 5th starter.
Well, 15 hit attack by the Mets tonight. They hit 4 home runs. That's the story. There's a lot of guys with base hits. Cespedes, the 2 home runs, of course. Bruce hit his 2nd home run. Frazier hit his 2nd home run. And I think most importantly, Brandon Nimmo had a 3-for-5 night. Two doubles and an RBI and a run scored. And he's a big part of this ball club with Conforto down right now. And I think that he's going to get Nimmo is going to get the lion's share of the play in center field.
So the Mets fall behind 5-0. They score a dozen unanswered runs. They get the win 12-5. We'll come back and wrap it up in a moment.